Oh, my cake.
Grab a fork and go for it.
Eat it. Eat it.
Hi there, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Joanie, and today I've got another recipe for you. This one handed down to me from my great-great-grandmother, Ruby. Now, fruit cocktail cake was a popular dessert in the 1950s, and when my mom sent me this recipe at first, I thought it sounded a little wacky. I mean, when's the last time I legitimately bought fruit cocktail? But the final result totally surprised me, and I want to share this oldie but a goodie with you. Now, all the ingredients and directions for this recipe are actually in my brand new free e-cookbook, which you can download over at joaniesimon.com, or head down below. I've got it linked there for your convenience. It is full of my family's favorite recipes, those ones that are time-tested and approved, and stories about the women who passed them down to me. So go ahead and download that, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel. So we start off with our dry ingredients, which are flour, sugar, baking soda, cinnamon, and salt. And just stir all of those together so they're fully incorporated before we add in the wet ingredients, which again, couldn't be simpler. Drain off a can of that fruit cocktail and throw in the fruit along with 1 egg and 1 egg white. And it's really the fruit cocktail that makes this dish so amazing, because what happens is after we bake it and it sits for a little while, the moisture that's inside of that fruit continues to release into the cake, softening it and making it moist and delicious. Now, chances are you might actually recognize this cake, that you grew up with something super similar to it. My great-great-grandmother did not originally develop this recipe. It was just a popular recipe at the time in the 1950s, but my great-great-grandmother, Ruby Anna Pleasant Stanley Moon Bowles Keating Stacy Gardner Scott, whew, that is a mouthful. She was married a couple times. She was the one who brought this recipe into our family and has passed it down. She was born on the 29th of March in 1893 in Jackson, Tennessee. Then in 1930, she moved to California, and it is said that the room lit up when she walked in the door. She always wore a suit and a hat and gloves when she attended art auctions in San Francisco. She loved cardinals and Chinese food. She also apparently had a lucky streak, always winning door prizes, the slots in Vegas, and any contest that she entered. Now that we've got our batter, we take an 8x8 pan and spray that down with cooking spray. Now, I do recommend using an 8x8 as opposed to any other size, just because you're gonna get a nice thick slice of cake when it's done baking. Next, I pour the batter into the pan, and then I sprinkle on walnuts and a liberal helping of turbinado sugar, or maybe sometimes you've seen it as sugar in the raw. It's gonna give us those nice little sugar crystals on top when it crisps up. Next, we want to bake that for 30 minutes at 375 degrees. Although I do recommend checking it at about 20 minutes with the old toothpick. Just stick a toothpick in there. If it comes out clean, it's all ready to go. And then I personally really like to let this cake cool and rest for a little bit, because like I mentioned, with that fruit cocktail, the juices are really going to do a great job of helping make that cake extra moist, but it takes a little bit of time for that effect to set in. Then when it's time to serve it, it's really up to you what you want to top it with. Now, Ruby recommended either whipped cream or ice cream, but I had some whipped cream on hand, and my little fellas are always up for whipped cream. So thank you so much for joining me here in the kitchen, and if you like this video and the fruit cocktail cake, well, definitely give it a thumbs up. And like I mentioned, the recipe is over at joaniesimon.com. It's in the brand new e-cookbook, so be sure to download that. But if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel, because I'll be back here next Friday with something delicious, some sort of story behind it, and I don't want you to miss it. So you have a wonderful week. I'll see you soon. Bye.